All right, guys, welcome to the first roundtable of the year. Welcome to the 2025 roundtable. So in these roundtables, what we do is we go over our biggest wins from the previous month, our biggest obstacles, and then we're going to set you up for success for this coming month, okay? So Veronica, saw you in here first. We're gonna go with biggest wins first, and then biggest win for the month of, let's just say for 2024, biggest win for 2024, right? And then biggest obstacle of December, and we'll talk about your goals, okay?
Hi, guys. So my biggest win is the obvious, all the weight that I have lost and been able to maintain. It's been like shocking for me just to see the scale continue to drop and drop, and to be able to stick to my nutrition, not perfectly, of course. Like I've got eaten out of my nutrition plan. I've gone over my macros or my fat, and it's progress, not perfection, like you say, Fatty. And I'm grateful that I make those mistakes so that I can learn from them.
Yes,
And
I love that.
to continue to develop a lifestyle. That's what I want. I want a lifestyle, and I want a lifestyle that I am happy doing, that I'm enjoying it. So learning, like, for example, I love desserts. Like, I love cookies. I love chocolate. So okay, so what's going to work for me? How much can I have to be satisfied, to be okay, and to continue in my weight loss journey? And I love it. I love that I can enjoy the foods that I eat, and still feel good about my health.
Yes, huge, huge. Veronica, can you share what you shared with Erica, myself, and James at the end, as we were like cleaning up and getting ready? You said you eat for, I keep forgetting, you're eating for.
Yes. So someone offered me food. I bought food for my kids, and they were like, and their friend was here too. They're like, "Oh, you didn't get food for yourself?" And I said, "No, it doesn't fit my macros." And then I said, "Wait, I take that back. It doesn't fit my goals." And that is the mentality that I should have, because saying it doesn't fit my macros, I feel like that's like if I'm not allowing myself to do something, but instead turning it into a positive, like, remember your goals. Like, this
Yes.
doesn't fit for your goals.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. I thought that was like so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that. Um, cool. Love hearing those wins. Made the weight loss changes. You are making foods fit into your plan that you never thought you could have, and accounting for it. What was your biggest obstacle for the month of December?
My biggest obstacle was the desserts.
I think that's going to be a recurring theme
They're
today.
still here.
Yeah.
They're all over my house.
Mhm. Yeah.
um,
Talk to me about that.
yes. So throughout the year, I learned something actually from a behavioral therapist with my kiddos, because kids love to have things that taste good, like
Yeah.
cookies and chips. And so she taught me, out of sight, out of mind. If the kid is
Mm.
having a behavior, put it somewhere where they can't see it, because as long as they can see it, they're going to continue to want it, act out for it, and such. So the same thing goes for us. If I don't
Hmm.
have it in my house, then I'm not going to be passing by the kitchen every day trying to open the cookie jar and get the cookies.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that is kind of a hat, I would say, is if you do still have like lots of desserts left over, instead of just having the dessert alone, think of stacking it with something else. And always think of like maybe some kind of a protein, right? So if it's like, I don't know, if it's something like pie or something like that, like make sure that you're not just having pie, make sure that you're having like your regular meal and then having pie after. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. So
So,
we had homemade chocolate chip cookies given to
mm,
us, and I crumbled it up and put it in my Greek yogurt.
perfect. That was going to be my next suggestion. So like stuff like that, like, little bite-sized snacks or whatnot, put it in something like a Greek yogurt. That way you're satisfying the sweet tooth, you're getting protein in, so you're not having these like sugar spikes and insulin spikes. Because we know what happens if we just grab one cookie, we're like, okay, I'll grab another one, grab another one.
Mhm.
But if you're stacking it like that, that's perfect. So that's what I want you to continue to work on and focus on.
Yes.
Um, so it is January 3rd. It feels like it's the 10th already, but what is your goal for the month of January?
My goal is to continue with my weight loss to reach my goal. And I've been averaging about 4 or 5 pounds a month. And so
Yes.
I want to be consistent with that. And I don't know where the wind of energy came from, but I want, maybe it's a New Year thing
Hmm.
that's going on. I did all my workouts already. So I finished ahead of when they were
Yes.
scheduled.
Yes. Yes.
And I was shocked. I'm like, I finished it like I would normally take double the time to do my workouts.
Mm.
And I don't know if I do feel stronger. Like I focus a lot on my form to make sure that I'm using the muscle that it explains in the video that you're supposed to be working on.
Hmm.
Part of that is probably just me being a perfectionist, but
Hmm.
before I started this program, Fatty, I was doing physical therapy because I couldn't walk. Like it was
Hmm.
very painful for me to walk. I had a lot of numbness and tingling in my legs and my arms. And I remember the physical therapist telling me to squeeze my abdominal muscles. And I was like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? And I was so embarrassed. And he's like, look, I'm going to show you. And I'm like, well, obviously, I don't use that muscle because I have no
Right. I don't
idea
know
how
how
to
to
do
do it. Yeah.
it. And so
Yeah.
now I can mentally, like, I can visualize using those muscles, and I see the difference in my strength. Um, and my workouts, as you know, they're not like, very intense workout, but it's
Mm.
what's working for me. Like I mentioned, like you are helping me build a lifestyle that works for me and that is helping me to be in a better state of health and decrease my pain.
That is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
don't even know what to say. Like, I'm all right, guys. We'll do the meeting for another time. Th- Thank you so much for those kind words. I appreciate it. Like, I know everyone's journey is a bit different, So the fact that you're embracing this part of your journey, and sometimes, like, Veronica, this goes for you and everybody else. Sometimes you'll be doing, like, maybe I'll have an exercise uh scheduled on your app or something. And you're like, oh, this exercise sucks, this exercise is boring or whatnot, but like it could be specifically for that. So like I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, but like the bird dogs, for example, or dead bugs or exercises like those, these are exercises that likely helped you start engaging your core more. So it's like it's just important to know that, like, um th everything is set up for a reason, and like the fact that you're following it and you're able to do this is awesome. Do you mind sharing that? I want to get you on camera, so I'm just gonna catch you real quick. So Veronica, what did you say a second ago? Wait, hold on. I'm on my. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So Veronica, what did you say a second ago regarding walking and working out and all that stuff? Can you share that?
Um, as I was sharing that I noticed that my workouts are helping me to build more strength and be able to use muscles that I didn't know how to use. And even though I may think, because my workouts are not intense, that nothing is happening, like now I see the change. Now I see that all those little stretches that I do that focus on certain parts of my body are helping me to build my strength and to
You're having
decrease my
trouble
pain.
walking, right? You were having trouble walking?
Yes, I before I started this program, I was having trouble walking or sitting for too long, and I was going to physical therapy.
Huge,
And
huge. And now she's doing exercises on the reg. Good job, Veronica.
yes, I love it. Thank you, Fatty.
That's amazing. That's freaking crazy.
It is. It is. Like I'm not kidding. This week when I did my workouts,
No.
I was just like, what, where is this? And who are you?
It's amazing. So goal for the month of January. What do you want to accomplish specifically so I could help guide you?
To continue with my weight loss and my average of losing 4 to 5 pounds for this month.
Okay, cool. What do you need from me to help you guide that? I know we spoke briefly. I set the goal for you, and I'm gonna glance at your nutrition.
Yes,
But
to to make sure that I am within still like taking in what I should be as far as calories
mhm,
for the workouts that I'm doing. I don't know if that has maybe something to do with it because before I wasn't as hungry, but before I wasn't doing my workouts a week or
yeah,
increasing my step count, and so now I find myself feeling hungry. So I increase my water intake. I try to do things like to distract myself.
yeah. I'll glance at that. There's two things that I want to kind of share with you is number one is I would get on a schedule of eating. So I always do the best in my fitness journey when I'm on a schedule of eating and I'm not kind of winging my days because as we learn more about calories and macros and stuff, it's very easy to be like, okay, I know I have this at home and I know I have this at home and I know I have this at home. I personally and all my clients that do the best is when you're on some kind of a routine, meaning that like you want to think of eating within an hour of the same time every day. For example, let's just say like let's just say your first meal is normally at 8. You want to have your first meal between 8 and 9 a.m. Okay. Second meal is at let's just say noon. You want to have your second meal between like 12 and 1. This way it's like you're it's like clockwork, like okay, I need to have this meal on this time, right? And if you guys are if anyone here is a breakfast person, you know if you miss your breakfast, you start getting hangry, right? So that's just because your body knows that, oh, like it's time to feed us, right? So I would do that to eliminate any kind of like second thoughts as far as like, oh, I'm hungry at this time, I'm hungry at this time. It's gonna be tough at first, Veronica, because maybe you're eating you're eating a little bit or sorry, you're stopping eating a little bit earlier than maybe you normally would have to have like a snack or two to finish your macros. But I promise you, it's going to not only help you with that, but it's going to give you so much cadence with just like your day to day. So I would do that. And then number two is let's get super clear. Do you want to lose 4 pounds this month or do you want to lose 5 pounds this month?
I want to lose 5. Yeah.
Okay. So 5 pounds divided by 4, that's 1.25 pounds a week. Okay. We divide that by 7, that's around uh 0.2 pounds per day. Okay. Now, that's not to say, Veronica, you step on the scale tomorrow and you don't see it go 0.2 pounds down and you're like, oh my gosh, it's not going in the right direction. Because it's important to remember, guys, that we get the average of our weight, not just one particular day. But at the like I would look at it like, okay, 1.25 pounds per week. Am I on pace? Am I on schedule? And then also, um, um, here's the thing, Veronica, when it comes to that is that we have to pull from somewhere. So we pull from food or we add cardio or a workout or something because it's energy in versus energy out. Energy in is the food that we intake. Energy out is what we do. We daily walks, cardio, your daily work habits, fidgeting, all this stuff. This is energy moving out, right? So I would also keep that in mind as well. If maybe it's not going as fast, it's important to either recognize we need to add more, but also to make it reasonable to like, is this something that you can do with your current life and situation, right?
Okay.
So I would say after this call, we'll kind of I'll look at like your past 3 months, see what we've been averaging, and let's do that and plus a little more. Example, if you've been averaging like 5 pounds, maybe we'll put you at 5.2 pounds to lose this month, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and it makes sense what you're saying about the schedule. Eating because I've been home these past days, so I noticed I haven't been eating like when I go to work.
Hmm.
And I caught myself one of the days I was like, oh, I'm not hungry. And I'm like, nope, like you need to eat. That's the time that you eat your breakfast. You need to have it
Yeah.
so that you're not tempted to want to eat other things.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
what you say about the energy in and energy out makes sense too, because I noticed that I've also, because I've been trying to get my workouts in, my
Hmm.
step count hasn't been more than I usually do. So it's still within my goal range, but it's
Oh,
on the
good.
lower end.
Yeah.
And so maybe increasing that. Not
Exactly.
fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Make it super simple to where you're not doing too much, which is what most people do. Like, I'm gonna do 1 hour more of cardio every day, and I'm gonna do 7 days of workouts. So it's like you just need this little bit of a jump, and it'll make a difference. Um, does that help?
Yes. Yes,
Cool.
it does. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. Awesome. All right, Kendra, you're up. Happy guys. By the way, it's great to see you guys. Like, I know we just saw each other on Saturday, but it's great to see you guys. And it's like, you know, you guys even better now.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, biggest win for 2024.
My biggest win was jumping back into the program at the end of December. But jumping back in with a different mindset. Like, previously this entire time I've worked with you, I have OCD and I'm an analytical person. So I'm always trying to figure out like, how can I add this and subtract that and move things around? And so the number on the scale and being a perfectionist at my macros and making sure that I got every single workout in on the day that you actually planned it and getting a PR each time, like those things were so significant that they would actually set me back and I didn't realize it. Like they would discourage me and set me back when I wasn't perfect. And so I've jumped in
Mhm.
with a renewed sense of like it's finally, I mean, you say it all the time, but I had that aha moment of like progress over perfection. It's
Yeah.
so funny because I'm like, oh, well, this is what he means, even though it makes clear sense, what you mean when you're saying it. But
Yeah.
I've jumped in with this renewed sense of like, okay, the scale isn't going to go down every day. Okay,
Yeah.
it isn't linear, and I know that, but don't be discouraged by that. Just continue the good fight because over time, and the reason I know this now, like I believe it now, is because looking at all the workouts I did and not realizing until one day you told me a year ago, like, Kendra, look at your pictures. Like you are not giving yourself the credit. And my pictures were so significantly different, even though the weight hadn't fallen off. And then after that, the weight started to fall off. So just recognizing that there are other wins, and I'm always able to say this was a win, that was a win, but really believing
Yeah.
it as opposed to the numerical win. And so that's been a huge win for me to jump back in and finally have that aha moment because health, fitness, weight loss for me, my entire life has been me being able to sabotage and not really learning the concepts. So that's why it's taken me longer than others because I really have to change my mindset and go back this many years of, unlearn all of those things and make these permanent. So it's been a huge win and I've brought others along with me. Like my family's now like
Yes.
a Bruni sense. They see my energy, despite, having thoughts in my mind about, I couldn't do it, I wouldn't be able to do it. They're coming along with me on this ride now. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think something that I heard a while back is like we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So
yeah.
it's like it's sometimes it won't click. Like sometimes you'll hear me say the same thing to you or in a live or something 10 times over. Um, and then like sometimes you're like, oh, I got it. Right. So like that's all that matters.
Yeah.
What was your biggest obstacle for the month of December?
It was my mentality, my mindset. I allowed, as the weight continued to creep on, and as I continue to have to take care of mom, and as I continue to find less and less time for myself to exercise and take care of myself, I allowed my mentality to just take a hold. And then I just went into this like downward spiral. Like I went down the rabbit hole of like, well, I don't really deserve this anyways. And I told Fatty in the beginning, like I could succeed at anything except this. And I allowed that. That was my biggest obstacle was me, my mindset to say, oh, I'm not feeling well today, so I can't get up and walk like 7. Like for me, it was like, no, I got to get that 30-minute elliptical in because I can burn 300, like the analytical, right? I can get
Yeah.
1,000 steps in on the elliptical in 30 minutes if I go fast enough. And if I put, the incline and the resistance high enough, then I burn almost 400 calories. So I'm way ahead of the game. And it's been interesting how on the last, I mean, I just really jumped back in like maybe less than a week or so that I lost 4 pounds. And it was just getting my 7,000 steps that you put in there for me. It wasn't
Yeah.
any miracle. It wasn't me like leaving exhausted and energyless from, it was actually enjoying these walks that I'm going on in the marina that my son keeps telling me I'm an old lady now because I'm with the walking group. But
He's
I'm
like,
with the
look at that
walking group.
seagull over there.
He's like, you're going with a lady walking group? You're not that old, Mom. Stop that. And I'm like, yes, I am.
That's a beautiful walk, by the way.
Yeah, really good.
No, that's huge. I think when it comes to things like that, Kendra, maybe a good reminder for yourself would be, and I think this is a great reminder for all of us, is you need to move and act like the person that you want to become instead of who you currently are, right? So it's like, what does Kendra like? Whatever your goal is, like I'll just whatever 10 pounds less, right? Or what does Kendra, forget the pounds, what does Kendra in a size whatever pant wear, right? How does she act on a day-to-day basis? How does she cook breakfast? How does she work out? How does she manage when life is beating her up and she still needs to get her workouts in? Like it, you start thinking like, if you start thinking like that and start acting like that, then it becomes easier to not fall back into those old things. Because like sometimes we want to fall back into those old things to kind of just be like you said it, actually just said it a second ago. Like I told Fatty I could do everything except this fitness thing. It's super frustrating. Like you wanted to prove that to yourself. Actually, I heard somebody say this the other day, and it said like, oh man, I'm gonna butcher it. He said something like, you can be right? Or you can take accountability and take full blame. Like, yeah, you could be right and say like, oh yeah, I can't do it. My lifestyle, my friends, my family, whatever, and be like, yeah, you're right. Or you could be like, you know what, I I own this and I can do it. I'm just not allowing myself to do it because I want to be right so bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, you can be right no matter what, in the negative or the positive. If you say it, then you're right because then you're breathing that into yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I hope that kind of like frame helps to start acting like the person that like start acting like who you are already. Like if you want to be six packed up, act like you're six packed up. Like
Yeah.
how do you act? How do you how do you move? How do you maneuver? What do you say yes to when you go out to brunch with your friends, and what do you say no to when you go out to brunch with your friends? Um,
I
so
see it. I see it already. Like you said, how does Kendra look at the weight that she wants to be? I see it. I look at the
yeah,
pictures from before this weight gain and I'm like, oh, I was so successful. Like I wasn't even giving myself credit. I got this.
Mhm.
So I see it. I visualize
Good,
it. I know what summer looks like. Yeah, I know. I
good,
see it.
good, good, cool. Okay, and then goals for the month of January.
From the weight that I am now, which I haven't weighed in
It
today.
doesn't. It could be weight. It could be
Yeah.
something else. Yeah.
No, this is actually for me. It is.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 6 pound weight loss, which will
Okay.
be 5 pounds from what your weight goal is for me.
Okay.
And that's about 1.5 pounds a week. But like you said, I'm not looking for 1.5 a week. I'm looking for the overall at the end of the month. You know what happens there. And the way I'm going to get there is I'm going to this honest tracking has been working so well for me. Like I'm seeing, like, you think you're making right choices. I was gone for the
Okay.
last 2.5, almost 3 days. You
Yeah.
think you're making good choices, like I got this, I'm picking seafood, but I didn't pick the right seafood, right? And you
Mhm.
really can see where you're just not hitting those macros. And before I just would track for the week and I would never go back. But I'm
Yeah.
so like this, and I would be afraid to honest track. I'm like, I don't want him to see how awful I'm eating, but like I need to see how often I'm eating and,
Uh-huh.
have him hold me accountable. So it's going to be definitely the honest tracking. Like the workouts are not going to be a problem. I'm going to go for a walk after this, my marina walk, my old lady walk after,
Yeah, yeah.
get my steps in. And so it's going to be that. And not taking, the bigger part for me is not taking weekends off. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, it was struggle through the whole week. Like I want to become accustomed to like, this is what I do 7 days a week. Maybe here and there for special occasions, I go off the grid for like a birthday or something like that. But for the most part, like I need to make weekends my habit. So that's how I'm going to do it, is just like buckling down for weekends for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like, and once you buckle down and once you hit this weight goal that you want, right? Initially these 6 pounds, whatever it is later down the road, if you want more. When you are doing this, what will end up happening is you're like, oh, this is, I actually did it. Like you said, it's kind of like an epiphany, and you're like, sorry, let me turn this off. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You're like, I honest tracked, right? I honest tracked, and I kept on thinking that I need to lower my calories or do more cardio, but then it becomes real. And the way I want you to think of it is like, think even like 6 months down the road, right? Like think of whatever, the Food and Wine Festival or something coming up, right? And think of
Dang
I
it, you're calling me out. Why are you watching my stories?
I know it's around here, the Food and Wine Festival, right? And let's just say you're like, man, I want to be able to wear this dress and enjoy my day. And like you think of like I'm working towards this and I'm working for this, like I'm working for this event. It's like you want to put a deadline on it, but you don't want to put a deadline because your fitness journey is forever, right? But like you kind of want to put a deadline on, like, this is why I was telling you guys on Monday about your SMART goals, right? You want to put a deadline on it because once you put this deadline on it, then you're like, okay, I need to do this by this time. So if you are if you lose a quarter of a pound this week, Kendra, you know that, okay, I need to dial it down. I need to find out where am I what am I doing good? What am I double down on what you're doing good, and find out what you're doing not so good on, or what you have the area of opportunity on. Um, oh yeah, does that help?
It does.
Cool. Anything else I can help you with? Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, don't take any of my excuses or my BS. Just call me out. I hate to say it.
I'm here to do that. I can help you with
I
that.
know. I know.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes, of course. If you guys have any questions, like if someone's like message relates and you're like, oh, I forgot to ask this, just like put it in the chat. Or if we have time after, I'll get to it as well. Cool. All right, Danny, welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you.
Welcome to your first roundtable, man. It was great meeting you. So yeah, let's talk about what has been. Are we a month officially?
Just about, I think, a few days
Month.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. At the end of this week, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, what has been your biggest win for 2024 and for this last month?
Biggest win is just really staying consistent with everything. I think I've missed maybe one day of workout, which was I think Christmas Eve, and maybe one day of not logging in my food, and that was around Christmas. So yeah, other than that, consistent with the exercises, with the meal. Still trying to get adjusted to the whole nutrition plan and the macros. But I'm getting there. But I mean, yeah, like I said, being consistent with it and being, seeing the numbers, not only, the weight come down, but I know I'm getting stronger. I From the first week of doing those exercises to today, I've seen tremendous growth already. Being able to just, I remember, being able to barely do a push-up, just a week, and now I'm just like just crushing it. So it feels great. And I can't wait to see what, you know, is here on out. I mean, 1 month, I mean, 6 months down the road, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man. Excited for you. I told you I think after dinner, I'm like, dude, you did it. You did this during the craziest time of year. You could do this at any time, So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm proud of you, man. Biggest obstacle. your first month?
Biggest obstacle would be again just the whole meals, trying to plan out, and luckily my work schedule hasn't been too crazy, so that's helping. But I know as we get to, busier times, it's gonna get crazy. So I'm gonna really have to buckle down and get ready, with my nutrition and exercising for that matter too.
What is the struggle with the nutrition? Can you give me some like specifics?
Just meeting those goals, those macro goals. Usually it's the protein. I'm not getting enough protein. And so I'm just learning to actually just eat more now. Like, so I'm noticing, okay, like maybe instead of one patty, two patties of a turkey burger, for example, and that really helps. Especially if I can get it, hit it like at lunch or whatever, and maybe, breakfast is pretty consistent. Then dinner is just kind of up in the air sometimes with, family and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Um, when's the last time you planned like a day ahead?
Yeah, so it was supposed to be on Monday, I think, or Monday for Tuesday. I don't know, but it was New Year's Eve, and I think that was a bad time to kind of, because I wasn't sure what we were doing. So
Yeah.
that's where, again, it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Because even then, because dinner, too. I mean, we try to plan for the week, but then days change and some like, so it's okay, I planned to this, but it may not happen. So, that's
Yeah. What I recommend that's going to be less stressful because it's I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for me the reason that I used to like won't track ahead because if I feel like, oh, it's going to be stressful when I do go out to this restaurant, or if we are going out to dinner at a friend's house or whatnot, it's going to be hard for me to make adjustments. But in fact, I think if you just track, like let's say you track for tomorrow, today, okay? Um, I would just track the same things that you had today. And let's say you go out to dinner to whatever, a steakhouse or something, and you're like, oh man, or like let's just say it's noon, and all of a sudden, your wife is like, hey Danny, like we're actually gonna go out to dinner with friends tonight. Did you forget? And you're like, oh crap, I got how am I gonna make this work? So what I would do then at that point is then I look at the rest of my day. Let's just say, okay, breakfast is done. Lunch, I was looking forward to having a big lunch, but maybe I got to condense it a little bit. And then I take away from that, and then I add the meal that I'm gonna do. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So yeah, so basically like I add whatever. I'll add a lean steak and potatoes. Example. I put that at the end of my day, and then I see, okay, it puts me over 50 carbs, and it puts me over 60 protein and 20 fat. Where can I deduct from the rest of my day instead of trying to add on your day, and then you're like, and then it's the end of the night, and it's like 11:59, and you're like, okay, I got 8 carbs, 2 grams of fat, and 30 protein. How am I gonna make this fit into my plan? Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that I would really get in the practice of that, even if you don't know where you're going, like having that for those like one-off days. And then for those days where you're like, oh, you know what, I'm tired of chicken breast now, I want to do something else, you could just make the swap, and it's a smaller adjustment that you need to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Okay. That helps. I want to make sure that's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, bro. So month of January, tell me your goals.
Stay consistent. Again, get better with the whole the nutrients, and maybe again try the food prep and see if that's gonna maybe help too, because we don't really do that. So maybe, prep Sunday and kind of for the week. I know, like I said, my wife doesn't like fresh food, so we tried to maybe, I know you mentioned like 2 or 3 days, try that, and then again like Wednesday. So
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, unless you have to, I would not meal prep for 7 days.
yeah.
Because like you said, it's gonna dry out. You might have to recook it. But what I would do, man, is and to even like prolong the freshness and the juiciness of it, it's like what I used to do is, do you have a grill? Do you have a barbecue grill?
Yeah.
Perfect. So Sundays is like your barbecue day now. So instead of like meal prepping, you can food prep. Okay. Meaning that like I'm going to cook a few pieces of chicken or fish on the grill. We're going to put some potatoes in the oven and I have some rice in the rice cooker. And then you can put these foods in like separate containers and then make it as you go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That way, if you don't like to have it in its own meal, that's another option. But if it's just like actually let me ask you, is it a why don't you like meal or why don't you want to do meal prepping or what's the obstacle with that?
I guess don't know what to make yet, or I'm picky or whatever, you know. I recently just got a bunch of recipes from somebody on Instagram, so they're like high protein, you know, macro ready kind of stuff. So I just need to kind of really take the time and
Do I have you in the do I have you in the recipe ebook?
yeah, I think you do. In the app, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then we're coming out with a new coming out with a new one this coming week as well. Um, but I will warn you with something is I wouldn't it can be easy to like go in there and be like, oh, that looks cool. This looks cool. I got this new recipe ebook. I would stick with one new thing a week, maybe, because if you're trying to like, oh, cool, I got this cool high protein casserole and this cool protein pizza and this cool shake or whatever. And then you're just pulled from every direction. So you got a lot of like cool ingredients, but then your goals are still like kind of like it's all over. So I would start by doing that, bro. Like um I would start subbing one thing at a time. Because otherwise it gets too overwhelming.
Yeah.
Does that
I can see
help?
that. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
How else can I serve you?
What was that?
How else can I serve you?
I think that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, man. Awesome. Very cool.
I'll
Thank
only
you.
serve you by not taking any of my BS. That's the time.
Don't take any of my BS.
All of mine.
The rollover, right? Cool, Danny. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to your first
Thank
round
you.
again. All right. Erica, you are up. Biggest win for
Okay.
2024.
Biggest win is seeing my entire body change.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, a huge win, right?
Yeah. I even had like I think I posted it on Facebook, like some women at the gym drew like double takes on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Careful
They
out there.
have to like stop and look at me again, like, is this girl real? Like, yes, I am real.
That's cool. That's awesome.
That's
That's a great
kind of
feeling.
fun.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I just feel like amazing. Like I have like a lot of energy, especially for my kids. Especially the type of work I do. I have to be on my toes with the kids. I have to be alert, aware. Um, and yeah, just the entire body composition. That was like my biggest win.
Yes.
Yes.
Huge, huge. Awesome.
Yes.
Biggest obstacle. What was your biggest obstacle for the month of December?
December was understanding the maintenance cycle. I'm still like trying to learn like okay, the cutting one, I
Mm,
know, that you have to go low on carbs.
mm.
Um the maintenance one, how long would you go on that? And like do you change your exercise or do you forever keep it the same? Because it's gonna get kind of boring like mentally it's like okay, I have to burn 400 calories, I have to do 15,000 steps, my macros are going to be the same for how long, or like when does it stop? Like I'm okay knowing like okay, you need to do this for like 6 months, but then what happens after that? Like do I need to change something, or like that's where I don't understand.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So let me rewind here for a second. So I just want to so it's not always that you have to take away carbs. You could be taking away fat or lessening protein as well if you want to lose weight. I just want to clarify that for you and everyone. Um and how long it's going to depend on your goals, right? So I personally think maintenance and or putting on muscle is more difficult like mentally than taking off weight or losing fat, because losing fat or losing weight, you can see that on a weekly basis. In order to like maintain or do like a body recomp in your same weight, or to add muscle, like to add muscle, you have to add weight, right? So that in it of itself becomes kind of a mind fuck, right? And you're like, well, the scale's moving up and it's moving up. I'm like 10 pounds heavier than my walking around weight. I don't know if this is happening. Usually what people will do then is they'll go on a cut again. And then they'll like, oh, I feel too skinny. I want to go back into maintenance. And then they go all over the place. So my question to you would be like, maintenance, you can do it for the rest of your life. That doesn't mean that we have to have you at these like I'm going to be adjusting your actual cardio to where it's not so high, because we've hit the goal that you wanted now. But my question to you, and maybe this will lead into the second question, is what is the goal that you want? Because I know you've said before you want to put on muscle. You've told me that you want to put on muscle, but I also think it's important to understand putting on muscle, from what most of us think, isn't what it actually is. Putting on muscle means that you're going to be putting on more fat, and you're not going to necessarily see this muscle when you're doing it. You see it like when you go, for example, this is the way it looks. It's you cut, okay, and then excuse me, and then you look, I'll give you the example of myself. So if I were to be, let's just say 20 to 30 pounds less than I am right now, I'm gonna look freaking like chiseled and ripped up. And then people are gonna think that I weigh more than I actually do, but I'm actually way lighter in weight. Now, the weight I'm at right now, I actually hold more muscle, but it's not as apparent because I'm also holding on to more fat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of you know, the real question would be, well, what does Erica want? So what does Erica want?
What does Erica want? I want to build more muscle.
Yeah.
Is eventually, if I decide to compete and I strip everything off, I don't want to look just skinny.
Mm.
That's what my goal is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, Erica, it's important to know that you will not be seeing physical changes from week to week and from month to month, which is kind of crazy compared to what we're all used to, or what we see online, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, this person looks like they got all kinds of muscle, but in all actuality, there's one of two things happening. They have been doing it for years. They're actually lean and have less muscle, and or the third is they're on performance enhancing drugs, right? So it's like those three things are very, very important to see, because like social media, it's like one swipe and we're like, this is why you're not gaining muscle. This is why you're not losing belly fat. This is what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if that is the case, Erica, then I do want to let you know that you have to be okay with putting on some weight. Your muscles will appear larger, but the definition won't be there as prominent, but you'll be more dense. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think I saw a picture before I started the program. I think I ate just a lot of food from like October till you got me till like from
January or no,
October, yeah,
sorry, July.
July, yeah. And I did notice like I was seeing like still definition, but then also like the belly fat came on. And
Mhm.
that's why I was trying to understand like the whole cycle thing. Like I would track, but then I would eat whatever my mom would just give me extra, like
Yeah,
guacamole, dates, whatever. I just had fun with foods, and
yeah.
then I just started noticing the belly fat. I'm like, did I do it wrong? Like, does it always happen when you bulk? Like, do you always get that belly fat, or like, or do
Yes
you,
and
can you minimize that? Like, I guess this time around I'm trying to minimize it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the goal is to there's like a joke in the fitness community where they're like, I'm bulking, bro, which is basically like I'm eating like shit, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so it's like that's what a lot of like guys will say during winter. They're like, oh, it's like I'm bulking, but it's really just like others we're just eating like whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So the goal when you are bulking, like an actual quote unquote bulk, is to minimize that fat loss as much as possible. Now, again, I want you to I know I said it 10 times already, but I want you to hear it loud and clear. You will gain some uncomfortable weight. Where it's gonna go, for most people, we carry most men and women, we carry most of our weight in our belly and our midsection. Might go there. If you're one of the luckily genetic blessed ones, it might just go to your limbs, right? I've seen that very rarely. But like that might be the case. But it is important to know that you will see a difference on the scale. You will feel a difference. You'll see a difference in your face. You'll feel the difference in your clothes. You might need, depending on how long you do it, you might need to get slightly larger clothes. Um, so those are I just want to set the expectation for you when you do like if this is the route that you want to go, that it's not as glamorous as we did a 12-week cut and this is what we did. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if that's the case, I'll obviously look at adjust and look at your nutrition and your cardio and all that stuff. But I do want to just set that expectation because it feels good at first, and then 2 or 3 weeks in, you might be like, my clothes are getting a little tight, It's tight
Yeah.
here and it feels good, but it's getting tight here too, So
Yeah.
I do want to just set that expectation because I did have a client where I had to basically we reverse diet you. We get you eating a little bit more. And I remember her telling me, she's like, this is way harder than just regular dieting because it can be uncomfortable. I don't want to sugarcoat it for you at all because I just want to I want to let you know what it is. It's not a comfortable thing, but you're gonna be strong as hell when you're working out. You're not gonna have those times when you're like in the weight room and you're like, oh man, I did this last week and I kind of like you're gonna feel stronger almost every workout and you're gonna have energy for workouts.
Yeah.
So that's
Cool.
that's the very positive side, and that's where we gain the muscle because as we remembered when we first spoke in here, like when I was telling Veronica, it's like food is energy. So if we have more energy to output, we can we can lift heavier, basically. Um, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Have
Cool.
you seen based on like all the pictures that you've seen,
Uh-huh.
does fat always go to the same place or does it go to different spots next time around? Because sometimes like this time around when I got fat, it went to my butt and my stomach.
Yeah.
What happens next time? Like, have you seen like people, does the fat go somewhere else besides those spots, or does it always go to the same spot now that you know,
Yeah. It's highly
based
genetic.
based on what you see,
Yeah. It's highly genetic. You're talking about for you or just in general?
or just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's highly genetic.
Okay.
Highly genetic. Now you can kind of like um it's like a in between, right? It's like you can't necessarily target weight loss or target fat loss, but like if you work your glutes more during your bulk, for example, you're gonna have bigger glutes and it's gonna go there, right? If you work, if you And I personally think you should always have some kind of core or ab exercises included. But if you do that, you can potentially minimize that. Now, it's not going to shape it, but like, let's just say, for example, Erica, you normally see your abs at like 110. Okay. Next time you cut, if we do this the right way, you would normally see your abs because you're like 105 right now ish.
102.
So okay. So
102.
like So let's say you normally see your abs at 105, let's say, okay? Now, if we do this bulk, right, we start exercising the right way, and then we come back down, maybe now you're at 106 to 108, or no, sorry, we said 105. So now maybe we're at like 110 or 111, and you're seeing the definition that you saw earlier, but the muscles are more prominent. Like you're more toned. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So like where it goes, nobody knows. Where it goes is highly genetic. But we can kind of try and mitigate that by exercising areas more. Example, if you're like, I know it always goes to my triceps, my arms, right? Then maybe you can we could put more emphasis on your triceps, right?
Oh, got it. Okay.
If you
Yeah.
know, for example, it always goes in my like upper bra back area, we could focus on working, like putting more emphasis on your back.
Got
So
it.
that way it's still there, it's still going to grow, but it's going to be shaped differently.
Yeah. Got
That
it.
makes sense.
That
It's
makes
kind of
sense.
confusing, but it's like
Yes.
not something I could say in a quick 30-second reel. So
No, yeah, it does make sense though. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because before I wouldn't even touch my abs, and you caught me working my abs, which I'm comfortable with that now. Yeah, I would never do an ab exercise. But thanks to you, now I could do them and I
Yeah,
like them.
good, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So are you set? Like, is that your goal for January? Is that okay?
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And you're clear on direction with that?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. All right. That's it, guys. Any questions that like Danny, Kendra, Erica, anybody have questions about like the other person, something pop up in your heads?
No.
No? Good to go? Cool. Awesome, guys. It's great seeing you all. Hope you guys have an amazing day. What's 6? Oh, 6 pounds. 6 pounds. Yeah. My bad. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And I'm going to share this once it's done downloading in the group. All right. See you
Okay.
later.
Bye.